man, come on. Awards and that. It's the end of the... This microphone's not even plugged in. I'm just simply using it as a prop for the video. Welcome one and all to the first annual FNG Footballing Awards, but the awards have no significance really to anybody's lives. Awards of 2024. It's the end of the year, but we are establishing all of the forgotten heroes of the year, okay? We're not doing any of that best player in the world, Ballon d'Or nonsense. We're not doing any of that worst player in the world, Kyle Walker nonsense. We're doing the middle guys, all right? Well, that sounds crazy. We're not doing the, hey, yo, whoa. Basically, we're celebrating the other people, yeah? The forgotten guys. It's the Pushkas Awards based on how many ACL restructurings you've had, and if that was the case, I would win it. Now, without any further ado, we're gonna get into the ceremony. Shout out to the people that are subscribed. Shout out to those that like the video, massively appreciated. And of course, to the members, you can hit the join button down below for videos like this a little bit earlier, and also some exclusive content as well. Now though, award number 1, Worst National Team of the Year award. Surprisingly, there's actually quite a few candidates for this one. And this doesn't mean like the worst team in the world. We all know that's San Marino. But actually, they've performed kind of well. And by kind of well, I mean, well, they got promoted, first of all, but also they've not lost every single game. A team that has lost to them twice, though, is Liechtenstein. They're the first nominee here. Quite literally, by the metrics of, like, the laws of physics, they should win this because they've lost to the worst team literally in the world 2 times in a year. I could like accidentally win against the worst team in the world once in a year, so they've got to be candidates. We've got Chile, who managed to go through an entire Copa America campaign without scoring a single goal. The whole nation's fallen apart. Alexis Sanchez took his keyboard with him, and there's nobody of any relevance from Chile at all anymore. I think he might have even changed his nationality. I think Alexis Sanchez is from like Paraguay now. But at least they made the tournament. Our third nominee, Ghana, didn't even manage to do that. They quite literally stink. They went out in a group that had a team that was in a civil war, a team that's never done anything of footballing, no, ever before, and also Niger. So yeah, there's some serious candidates, honestly. But your winner of the worst national team of the year, it has to be Ghana, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Everyone give a round of applause. We love to see it. Shout out Ghana. Your Jolloff's bad. The Ayew brothers are bad. Kudus has a chair. Let's keep it moving. He has one more chair than me in this video. I'm kneeling down. Next up, we have got the award for the highest bald head index of anyone in football. This one needs a little bit of explaining. This isn't necessarily something you can quantify through numbers alone. There's lots of different metrics that are needed to define this. It's measured by shininess, okay? Overall shape of head. The little bits of side hair that are still there for some bald people, and also the potential for future growth. You know, a lot of these, you know, managers or, you know, footballers that are going to be involved in these nominations, they may still grow some hair further down the line. Will they go to Turkey? Probably not, but you never know. Now, first of all, Erik ten Hag, who I've got to say is one of the baldest managers I think that's ever managed in the Premier League before. Only one thing has been worse than his managerial performance this year, and that's probably been his hairline. But the shape of his head has this weird, like, sort of, well, this is so harsh. It has this weird sort of point kind of vibe to it, and I'm not sure that's wholly satisfying when it comes to the index. Then we've got Arne Slot, the personification of shininess, okay? This is a man who might well polish his head in the morning. Enzo Maresca could well be in with us. There's a lot of bold Premier League managers, man. Vincent Kompany is up there. There's a lot of head as well. Whoa, hey, yo, pause. Again, there's a lot of head there, to be honest with you, for him. Then there's also Pep Guardiola, who, to be honest with you, might self-harm if I give him this award, so it's probably best not to actually. And again, this is purely baldness. This has nothing to do with performance. This is simply, is this person really bald? So Nuno Espirito Santo doing an amazing job with Forest, but there's too much side hair, okay? There's still the chance that he may not be fully devoid of hair forever. And with that all being said, bearing this all in mind, you might call me somewhat biased, but I'm gonna have to give it to Arne Slot. A shiny head, unlike the likes I've ever seen. You can put a pause on that. So Arne, congratulations. That's your first award of the year. Hopefully the Prem comes after, but this is probably more important important. Next up, we've got the most injured player of the year. Now, this I'm going to need to give a few stipulations on. And by a few, I mean one stipulation. This doesn't include players that have just been out for the whole year with like one injury. This is more somebody that suffered multiple injuries, has seemed generally speaking incompetent when it comes to their physiotherapy. And obviously, it goes without saying, Luke Shaw is on this list. Luke, has Luke played a game this season? Probably should have checked the statistics before we started this, but he might not have actually played a game since the start of this season. He's gone missing. I thought maybe Eric getting sacked would bring him back. No, he's still on gardener's leave. The man's working from home, and along with that, Reece James. Two wing-backs that could genuinely be starting for England if they had any level of fitness beyond being able to do step 2 of the bleep test, and maybe even only step 1 as far as Luke Shaw is concerned. There could have been other nominees for this award, but honestly, none of them were ever going to topple these two, either from abroad or from England. So, alas, I think we are going to have to go with Reece James. Reece James. Well done, Reece. Truly astounding from you this season. Genuinely speaking, I hope next year is better for him, and I hope he's not on this list, but he has to take it, I'm afraid. Now, though, ladies and gentlemen, an extremely prestigious award. This is the Best Player with the Last Name Walker award. Obviously, Walker's quite a common name as far as English footballers or even, British footballers generally are concerned, but I think there's one standout, really, in terms of his prestige in the game. Someone that has represented club level in one of the best leagues, if not the best league in the world. And at this point, it's had a decent amount of longevity, especially as a wing-back. And that is Kyle Walker Peters of Southampton. Really pretty stock standard, very, solid wing back with a bit of attacking capabilities as well. So Kyle Walker Peters definitely deserving of being here. We've got Nesta Guinness Walker. I don't really know anything about him other than the fact he plays, I think, in America and that he's got a really wavy name. And then the final one, we've got Jamie Walker, who plays for Bradford. There was going to be Tyler Walker in this, but he quite literally played 23 minutes this season. I didn't think that was quite that fair. And we're going to go with Nesta Guinness Walker. So congratulations to Nesta. You are purely winning that based on your name. Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense given what the award is. Now, though, an award that Kyle Walker could actually win. And no, it's not the award for the most secret families accumulated during the course of the campaign. It is the worst footballer of the year. I know I said I wasn't going to do best footballer, but we're doing the anti-Ballon d'Or. That still seems fair. Kyle, you are a nominee on this one. I know he wasn't as bad last season towards the end for Manchester City as they won the league, but this season has been a complete disaster. Not just for him. I know he's been a bit of a scapegoat in my own videos included, but he has unfortunately probably fallen off in regards to being a top quality wingback that could play for a Premier League winning team. So he is a nominee here, unfortunately. We've also got Anthony, kind of to be expected, really. I'd given up all hope on him. I think he might have like legitimately 1.5 goal contributions maybe for the season as an absolute maximum. We've also got Mikhailo Mudryk, who is going to go into this category, which might be unfair based purely on footballing acumen during the year, because he has actually scored a few goals. He's got some goal contributions, mostly in the Conference League. My uncle could get goal contributions in the Conference League, but at the same time, he has potentially just been banned for doping, and after costing Chelsea £63 million, I think that's about as bad as it can get. But this is purely about footballing ability, or lack thereof, and that's why Anthony is your winner of the worst footballer of the year. So once again, we all get a round of applause. Anthony, I'll even do a little spin to commemorate him. Just going round. About as slowly as Anthony's career has taken off at Manchester United. Next up, we got quite a specific one. This is the most successful open play passers in specifically the Bundesliga award. I told you these awards were going to be useless. This is a pretty matter-of-fact, categorical, statistical award. There's no real there's no body that's involved in this. I don't know if you guys know, but there's actually an FNG board of directors who have been voting. There isn't. There's not. I've just made it up on the spot. I'll be so real. But I have got the statistics on this one, and your winner of this award is Joshua Kimmich of Bayern Munich, who has completed 1,503 open play passes during the course of this year. Wow. We now will take a bit of a look at referees and some of the decisions that they have been making during this year, and they're not very good. This is the worst VAR decision of 2024 as an award, and by jingo have we got some serious contenders. First of all, we are going international, intercontinental. though with a player in the Premier League. It's Alexander Isak, who was flagged as offside for this decision against Azerbaijan. One of the worst decisions I've ever seen. I don't know whether the VAR people had gone out to lunch for this one. Well, they weren't there. I feel like the VAR award has to be one that was actually looked at by VAR, because you can't tell me this was looked at by VAR and they actually decided on it. So yeah, that's how bad this one is, this offside decision. Shout out to Brighton and Southampton fans. You guys are involved next for this offside decision that was given against the Southampton attacker because he was in the same 3-mile radius as the ball as it travelled past him, and apparently had blocked the goalkeeper from getting to it, even though the goalkeeper was in a different postcode to where the cross actually was. Yeah, just a calamity overall. Don't know why we're suddenly adding all these stipulations to goals, but yeah, absolute tragedy. We now head back into last season, where we find the FA Cup semi-final between Coventry and Manchester United. It was a chance for Coventry to complete the unthinkable comeback and win versus United, having been 3-0 down, only for a line to be drawn over Aaron Wan-Bissaka's foot instead of the end of it, and end Coventry's chances of what would have been one of the greatest moments in FA Cup history. Yeah, just in terms of the storyline, this stinks. It really does. It epitomizes all that is wrong with football in using lines that aren't very accurate at all, going millimetre deep into something that ultimately will once again harm the chances of the smaller team in defeating the bigger one. And for that reason alone, it is a very strong contender. But our final nominee on this one, the lines involved in this decision, absolutely crazy. And that's just David Coote's counter surface. And I think because of what was at stake and the overall storyline of it, I am going to give it to Coventry versus Manchester United. This might seem like I'm being biased against United. Maybe I am. No, I'm joking. I'm genuinely not being. This could have been any Premier League team. Even if this was Liverpool, I would have been a bit like, it just leaves a bad taste in the mouth for what could have been. It feels like the magic of football in that moment was genuinely ripped away in comparison to what we used to get back in the day. You know, I mentioned him there a second ago. It's time to move on to our most egregiously shambolic moment of the year, and David Coote getting his whole career removed for a line of ketamine is in fact the first thing. This is crazy. I can't believe almost the backlash that this sort of caused. It's not obviously just the fact that he was doing lines and not the VAR type. It was the fact obviously that he called Jurgen Klopp a very naughty word and said that he didn't really like Liverpool. He didn't like the way Liverpool had played on a certain day. All things I'm sure a referee has done in the past. I mean, there's no way that Anthony Taylor's made some of the decisions that he's made whilst not under the influence of drugs. But the fact that he was absolutely peppered meant that he lost his job. Wild stuff. Turkish fans running onto the pitch to scrap Fenerbahce players has got to be up there. A genuinely surreal moment in football for the year. One that definitely, I think, made a lot of footballers question their safety, perhaps, on the pitch. Mostly in Turkey, probably. It was mad, basically. And finally, it wouldn't be an egregious or crazy moment award if AFCON wasn't involved. The overall storyline of Ivory Coast sacking their manager, then still being in the tournament even though they thought they'd been eliminated, and then going on to win the whole tournament, having sacked their manager halfway through. Don't really know how to condense that down into like 3 words, but that whole storyline is an option here. But to be honest, that feels like more of an incredible moment rather than a shambolic one. So I think we're going to give it to the Turkish fans. And also, by the way, I'm saying Turkish fans here. They shouldn't have run onto the pitch, but also the players just started scrapping with them as well. It was wild. There was some big punches thrown. I think that as a whole was just a farce. That was just a terrible moment really for Turkish football. So I hope that they would agree and not be too offended that I've given that to them. It's not a representation of Turkish football most of the time, but it is just a mad thing that happened. So that we can't be doing that every week, lads. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have the best Sunday League or still 0-0 feature or moment of the year. This again is for amateur or Sunday League moments that have really tickled us. But basically, a game had been delayed because the away team forgot to bring their socks. Then a fan started shouting at the referee and they had to call off the whole game and call the police. So it's a kind of double whammy, that one. Kind of 2-layered story. Kind of start and finish, literally. So that's why that one makes it. We've also got a goalkeeper who managed to get stuck in his own net as a ball was looping over him as a strike. Hit the crossbar. He then went to go and get the second ball and only to find his boot was stuck in the net and still managed to save it. The best save I think I've ever seen on Sunday League pitches anywhere. And then finally, just possibly the most still 0-0 or Sunday League clip I've ever seen of easily the worst free kick that's ever been taken anywhere ever, followed by a defender pulling up because he pulled his hamstring, only for the attacker to go through on goal anyway, round the keeper, and then hit the post. Just encapsulates everything that there is to love about Sunday League in one clip. But I've got to say, for the overall uniqueness of the storyline, ×2, to be honest with you. I think even one of of these stories maybe would have made it. We've got to go for Milton. The story of the team that forgot their socks and then the police called because of one rogue fan. Has to win it for me. Next up, the penultimate award, the most shampoo used by a footballer this year for the year of 2024. And I'll tell you what, it's not Pep Guardiola. It's not Arnie Slot either. This is a footballer with luscious locks and a chance for me to be extremely homosexual without being outed by anyone, which is why Ricardo Calafiori is on this list. Big shout out to him. I will say nothing more. Mark Cucurella of Chelsea, of course, a massive amount of hair, and that's just on the top of his head. What does that even mean? What am I? I've lost the plot, bruv. I can't give him this victory though, unfortunately, because he will come up with the most annoying song of 2025, and I don't want to do that to you guys. I would rather throw myself off a building testicles first than hear him sing about Estrella ever again. So, which means that your winner is a new French heartthrob, a man who might well save a football club on his own. It's Andy Carroll. What a return to form. What a, what's the opposite of a fall from grace? Whatever that is, Andy Carroll, who is banging in goals for Bordeaux after they almost went out of business a few months ago. The overall storyline I love, and he probably does have Head and Shoulders in his shower room, I would imagine. Which in no way whatsoever leads us on to our final award of this ceremony. Okay, the first annual Most Useless Football Awards of the year. And we go with the FTW Star of the Year. This is almost my player of the year. This is someone that's kept the lights on, paid the electricity bill by consistently doing stupid things for me to be able to document to you lot on YouTube. This is a very prestigious award, okay? One that I don't take lightly. One that this person will not care about. To be honest with you, it's probably a negative impact on them, most likely. Now, let's be honest. Neymar is an obvious front runner. He always is when it comes to piping his own sister. This man usually could pay my entire TV license in one go, if I even had one. But to be honest with you, it's been a quiet year for the sister shagger. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's maybe been the title of an FTW twice in total, and that is rookie numbers for a man as prestigiously against his own family tree as he. The nation of San Marino deserve a shout here. There's been at least 2 episodes about them simply winning football matches. I think there was also one about them being really bad as well at one point, but they turned a corner. A nice little storyline kind of rising from the ashes. A terrible, FTW title maybe at the start, and then a much more positive one as the year went on. Endrick has not had a title about him as far as FTW is concerned, but he's made a name for himself with an entirely new segment for him, and has just generally probably been mentioned more than any footballer in the whole series this year. Eric Ten Hag also is a contender here, a nominee if you will, for just being arse, I'm not gonna lie. Although again, maybe he's been unfairly treated based on how Amorim has fared since coming in. I think Amorim's a great manager and he's really struggled too. And then of course there's Kylian Mbappe, who I think in terms of sheer numbers of episodes or numbers of stories or numbers of times I've had to say that he wanted to leave PSG has got to have a feature here as well. The whole saga of him leaving Paris Saint-Germain, then kind of being a little bit ass at the start of the Real Madrid time as well. The overall transfer too. There's been lots of other little stories to do with Mbappe too. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I think I might have to give it to Endrick, ladies and gentlemen. This man has cemented himself with a whole segment in FTW. Hasn't been in the series for a little while, for like a month or two, but there was a point where every single week this man was reminiscing to the 50s, 1937. Bro, you're 12. Allow it. We know you weren't there. And with that, Endrick, I hope you're happy with your award. I hope it reminds you of when Ferenc Puskás won the Ballon d'Or in 1947. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, that brings a close to the first ceremony, the first annual FNG Useless Football Awards of 2024. I'm still working on the name. Let me know down in the comment section what I should even call this. We'll be back again next year to tell people that they're terrible at Rabonas or that their skills compilation only got 16 views, or I don't know what the things will even be next year. You know what? Fuck it. If you've got any recommendations for categories, then drop those down below. We can make this an annual thing. If you did enjoy though, feel free to slap a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. You can also become a member by hitting the join button down below for perks like seeing this video early or some exclusive content soon as well. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye. Maybe I should plug this in, to be honest with you.